Our margins are looking good right now. I think we've got room for some more investment.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Once again, we are back with career mode. This time uploaded at a much earlier time for you UK folk, but here we are nonetheless for the Italian Grand Prix, a race which I very much look forward to on the race calendar. Now, heading into this episode, we had an upgrade failure, unfortunately, on the chassis side. I believe that was the major weight redistribution, so that is something that will need to be amended at some point during this episode. Do have 1,800 odd resource points to spend, so I'd imagine we do that now, as well as an upgrade to the quality control, which I just did there for the engine side. There's the failed upgrade, which we will be amending right now, and that'll go on in time for the Singapore Grand Prix. So I feel like we've been pretty lucky with failures, of course. Everything has been much better in regards to quality control, getting stuff out quickly in terms of build time. Of course, all of our Spec 2 upgrades are making a big difference in building momentum for us development-wise. But here we are. Once again for another episode. I'm trying to have a little play around with the activities there. Someone told me, I think, if you stop the activities midway through, you can sometimes get like a refreshed set of activities to choose from. And because I had a missing day, I thought maybe I could switch or like add in something else which might have come in new that was one day old. You know what I mean. Anyway, that didn't work out for me. But here is the performance index. You can see Mercedes is the best car heading into Italy. So we'll see what that means on track. Small upgrades for Ferrari as they head to their home turf. This will be an interesting one for us as well. We'll be proudly flying the Scuderia flag, given that we are powered by them. And I wonder how much support from the Tifosi we will have this race weekend. We're more of a British... No, are we even British? Realistically, we would be based in Britain, our team, if it was in real life. But for all intents and purposes, this is an Australian team. Australian owned. There you go. Chuck the kangaroo sticker on the side of the car. Well, I should get Sevi to do that, actually. That's something we do in Australia. Because it's rare. Nothing really gets made in our country. So if there is something that's made, often we make rulers. Wooden rulers, and it says made in Australia with a kangaroo stamp or something. I'll chuck that on the car from the next available opportunity that I can. Anyway, we dominated practice. I think we got P1 by 2 seconds. Hashtag Australian made. Let's go. So, quality time. Okay, here we are for qualifying for the Italian Grand Prix. For this race, we've got all of our freshest engine components in the car, and that practice pace was very ominous for us, wasn't it? 2 seconds on the top of the timesheets by, which is absolutely crazy. I've got a couple of reasons why that might be the case. We do have a major brake upgrade, which has gone on the car in time for this race, but also there is the case of me having fresher engine components available to me for practice. We've pretty much burned out everything in terms of the first column of power unit components. We're left with column 2, and they're all still relatively green, so that's probably why I was a bit faster in practice too. It does correlate, not colorate. It does correlate to pace in qualifying as we chuck in the brand new engine components. P6 there in that opening session. We move on to Q2, and we're saving our run for right at the end of the session here. Pretty risky, but you can always get away with it on this game, unless it rains like in Spa last time out. Thankfully that is not the case today, but you don't have to slow down for yellow flags if anyone spins out or anything like that. There's no such thing as session stoppages. Maybe that should be a thing in future F1 games to just annoy us even further and add to the difficulty, but potentially. Not too sure. But yeah, you can always get away with setting a time at the end of the session. That would add a completely new dynamic to qualifying and practice sessions if we could get yellow, proper red flags. That would be insane. But anyway, final corner here for us. Parabolica, nice run through here. It's been a pretty decent lap so far. Had a bit of a tank slapper through the Ascari chicane, but otherwise a very clean lap across the line. Where does it put us in qualifying? It is... Oh, okay. It's Oh my god. I don't know about you guys, but I literally just had a heart attack for a couple of seconds there. It said we were P16. That was a really good lap. That was a really, really good lap. God, Codemasters, don't do that to me again, please. I hate that glitch. Thought I was out in Q2, but no, we've topped the session and we're on ahead of our teammate by 3.5 tenths. That's just completely shook me. I'm going to 110 because we're quite fast, so I want the ultimate challenge around here.
Okay, I know you're eager to get out there, but I'm going to need you to be patient for a few minutes. We're just trying to zero in on an oil leak.
Is this because I upped the difficulty? Is this more of a chance? You want the game to be harder, do you, Ben? Say Codemasters. Well, here you go. Have a lubrication fault. Somebody order some more lube, please. Anyway, off we go for the session. We fast forwarded time. 7 minutes to go. We're in that awkward phase where we might just about be able to squeeze 2 runs in. I've opted to go out straight away to see if I can set a time, return to the pit lane quickly, and then go out again for another lap. But I guess we'll see how that goes with the timing of this lap. I'm not checking the status of the driver in front. Sometimes there's a glitch where the audio can be a little bit quieter, that being the engine sound, and sometimes just activating Jeff for something can make it go back louder again, and I think that actually worked. But anyway, first lap of Q3 on the 110 difficulty. We don't do this all too often. We only do this when we're massively on the pace, and this is the ultimate test. We were on pole, provisional pole in Q2 by 1/10, and so we need to lift again in order to maintain that momentum. But I love that. I love being challenged, and we find ourselves 3.5 tenths up as we approach the middle sector. I'm not too sure who that 3.5 tenths is up on, but it is a good time nonetheless. Approaching Parabolica now, and this has been a pretty good lap. The car is so fast and so capable. I only need to do like 1 or 2 downshifts through some of these high speed corners, and it means I can focus on the corners that bit more. It's really flowing. Across the line, we end up in P3, some 700ths behind the pole sitter of Valtteri Bottas at this stage, and now the desperation creeps in because we know that there's not much time to get back to the pit lane to start our next lap. We've actually run out of fuel as well, so our chances of actually returning to the pit lane, getting on a new set of tires, refueling the car, and getting back out there again is near on impossible. Hello there. So we're into the lane, and I'm not sure if that's illegal or not. Corner cutting your way back to the pit lane. Either way, I did more corner cutting as I went back out on track, and unfortunately it wasn't enough. We missed out by, I think if we had an extra 10, 15 seconds, we would have actually been able to start our final lap, but it was not to be. Sergio Perez gets P2 there. We're down in P4. George Russell P6. So we do pass the sponsor goal by Neon, thankfully. But that is a very odd way to end the session. Charles Leclerc banging in a 15.9. Absolutely flying, absolutely rapid pace. I don't know if that was simulation time glitch or what, but that's amazing pace. Heading into the race, let's hope we can challenge for the win.
We're back in Italy once again for another round of the Formula One World Championship. And what a great race is in store for us today here at the oldest circuit on the calendar. Monza hosted its first race all the way back in 1922. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Day, Hamilton, George Russell, and Vettel, Norris, Verstappen, Albon, and Lance Stroll, Ocon, Perez. They've taken a grid penalty. Antonio Giovinazzi and Ricciardo, Magnussen, Sainz, Daniel Kvyat and Pierre Gasly, De Vries, Latifi, Matsushita and Mick Schumacher. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
This is our engine supplier's home Grand Prix. Let's give them a race worth watching.
And do that we shall. Welcome to the Italian Grand Prix on the grid here for the 15th round of the season, Season 2. Unfortunately, Sergio Perez is starting from like P12. He qualified in P2, had the qualifying session of his life, and that's just so unlucky. Let's hope that he can fight his way through the field. 5 red lights, And away we go for the Italian Grand Prix. We get a better start than someone else for a change. Valtteri Bottas not getting off the line too well. We're going to hold position as we head into turn 1. That is amazing stuff from us. One of the longest. That's a pretty long run into turn 1. I don't think it's the longest, but I'll shut up now and we'll get back to the racing as we can see George Russell having a little go at us on the outside in the run into turn 1. I was a bit compromised there. I wanted to take the full outside line, but I knew he was there and was going to brake late, so decided to leave him uncompromised. It screwed up my run, and now it's allowed Bottas to get away, unfortunately. But we have the pace in this Grand Prix. The fact that we even upped it to 110 and we still qualified, P4, past our sponsor objective. We always get faster in the race relative to qualifying. Normally I always step up the difficulty to 110 for the race. We're already at that now, and we're already keeping pace in qualifying. So I'd imagine that once we get settled into this race here, we should be able to fight at the front. I do feel like the AI have been boosted a little bit with their times that they set after I set mine. Of course, I didn't set mine at the end of the session either, so there's lots of pace waiting to be unlocked in this Grand Prix, I think, as we see a replay of George making contact with us at turn 1. That was risky. You don't need to be doing that on lap 2. Not even lap 2. It was lap 2. Lap 2 of a 27-lap race. Teammates, we do not need to be fighting this hard. We can work together and we can catch up to the top 2. Join me, and together we will overthrow the Emperor. That is Charles Leclerc leading this way. Oh my god, I was going to say Wace. Welcome, guys, to the Italian Grand Prix. Screw it, I'm leaving it in the video. Why not? I'm in a funny mood today. But anyway, we're gaining some momentum back in this Grand Prix. Now we're getting DRS. It was enabled on the last lap, and that pace that we were threatening about is starting to come to the fore here as we look up the inside of Bottas in a turn 1. Nothing really doing there. Russell following me through, only 2/10 back. If he gets too caught up on the back of me, then Hamilton will be there waiting to pounce. But meanwhile, up front, Leclerc is running away with this one. He's leading by 2.4 seconds over Bottas, and we need to clear this guy. Are we going to do it on this lap? I have been saving fuel a little bit over the last few laps, and now I think I'm deciding to pull the trigger as we go around the outside of turn 1. The brake upgrade, the major brake upgrade that we put on the car for this race, is working wonders as we get around the outside of him there and fly into P2. Thank you very much, Valtteri Bottas, for that one. Going nice and defensive. I think he nearly fell into the clutches of my teammate. There, he got a hot. The AI don't run very well side by side with another person, and as such, he nearly got overtaken by Russell there into, on the exit of turns 1 and 2. But anyway, we used the DRS and the overtake on Bottas to give us a bit of a momentum. It's almost like a leapfrog effect. Gave us purple sector 1, and that spurred me on. It gave me the motivation to push on to try and catch up to Charles Leclerc. If not for that purple sector, I might have actually gone into my shell a little bit in this first stint. I might have decided to save a little bit more fuel, but because of that, I'm encouraged, and I want to catch up to Leclerc. So I think what I'm going to try and do here is burn a lot of my batteries. You can see I'm out of deployment again. I was out of deployment at the end of the first lap, and I fell victim nearly to my teammate George Russell. So I need to manage that a little bit better, which we see one of the racing points out. Thankfully, that is not Sergio Perez. That is Lance Stroll out of this one. And I believe there is no safety car deployed because of that. Here is the live pictures of George Russell now getting past Valtteri Bottas, who is falling away a little bit in this Grand Prix. But I guess the strategy for me now is trying to burn as much fuel as I can. Even if I go -2 laps of fuel, if I can just get in the slipstream of Charles Leclerc, which is 1.6, 1.7 seconds at this stage, then I can save fuel like crazy. You won't believe how easy it'll be to maintain pace with him, just getting the drag reduction system to carry us along, as well as slipstream. We can run lower engine modes all day and still run the same pace as him. But to do that, I've got to get close enough. And at the moment, the gap is teetering between 1.6 and 2.1 seconds. A bit of a yo-yo effect. Charles is better at the high-speed corners. And obviously, I'm better on the straights. I'm running 1.7 wings. Basically, if you want to download my setup, if you're on PC, go to time trial and load the fastest time trial time. It's one of the F1 esports guys, but I'm imagining that pretty much everyone else is running it as well. Into the pit lane we go. Soft compound tyres are off, mediums are on, and that was a nice stop from the boys. 1.9 second stop for Charles Leclerc. He hasn't actually made his stop yet, so we're going to get the undercut here and maybe be in striking distance come next lap. But we have some traffic of Pierre Gasly in front of us. I don't imagine he's actually going to hold us up, because by the time we catch him, we'll get DRS, which is exactly what's happening now. So this is actually going to help us having traffic 99% of the time, and countering traffic is not what you want on an outlap, but that has actually helped us massively. We get the slipstream and DRS on a couple of straights there on new tyres. And look at this, Charles Leclerc has stayed out not one, but this is the second lap he stayed out. At this rate, he's going to possibly get jumped by me altogether, because I'm pumping in purple sectors on my fresh medium compound tyres, getting slipstream and DRS off of multiple slower cars. So Ferrari need to react to this, and they are reacting now, but I feel like the horse has bolted from the gates. It's too late now, as we see Valtteri Bottas in as well, responding a little late as well. He's going to probably get jumped by Hamilton and Russell, essentially. But here we go. Fastest lap of the Grand Prix, 19.2. Here come the race leaders. We've already jumped Bottas. Here's Leclerc into the lead of the Italian Grand Prix. Ferrari have been caught napping on their own home turf, and we storm into the lead of this race. Let's see if we can march on with this now with fresh tyres. Charles Leclerc has got cold mediums.
To be completely honest with you, I don't understand at all the undercut. But yeah, whatsoever, we'll discuss after the race, but anyway.
Just stay positive, just stay positive.
Yeah, Charles is not happy. The team are telling him to stay positive and to not overreact. The race is not over by any stretch, but the gap is 1 second. It's over a second now, so let's see if we can break the DRS and the slipstream for good and pull away in this Grand Prix if we can. That said, this whole middle sector is going the way of Charles Leclerc, to the point where he's caught up to me in the third sector, and he might even overtake me on this straight. So that was, I guess, a short victory for us. Charles Leclerc takes the lead of the Grand Prix once again.
Hey!
Sorry, Charles. I was really squeezing him for all he was worth there, just seeing if he would back out there. And no, he kept the foot flat to the throttle, and he storms back into the lead once again. So I guess in the end, there's a bit of an overreaction from me there. I thought Ferrari had thrown away the race, but it looks like Charles has just got amazing pace on those medium compound tyres. It's just, he's so good through the middle sector, and I didn't have the greatest middle sector on that lap where I was in the lead, and Leclerc was able to get back in within DRS range, open that up, and then the gap just came tumbling down. And once he was within like half a second, I kind of gave up the ghost and realized that there was no point trying to march on with a victory and burning fuel, because we're at a point in the race now where we actually need to save that. So that's essentially what I'm doing now at this point in the race. So I have been for the last 5 or so laps, but on this lap in particular, we've actually fallen to outside of 1 second. Thankfully, the detection zone was a little further behind in the lap, and I was still within 1 second at that point. So we do get DRS, but we've got to get our head down here to overtake him, just get back in an attacking zone so that I can be comfortable again and get back into my rhythm of running in lean revs and standard revs on straights in order to save the fuel. So generally at most circuits, I like to underfuel the car to have a faster car at the start of the race. The fuel economy is usually quite good, and I don't need to compromise my race pace all too much in order to run a lighter car. But here it's actually costing me quite a bit, and I think maybe going forward we need to invest in some fuel consumption upgrades. But here you can see Leclerc is starting to lose momentum relative to us. I was running in standard revs on that straight, and that time around, for the first time in this Grand Prix, we've actually been racing him, and he had to go defensive slightly into turn 1. So that was I got a small bit of confidence out of that, I'll say that much. But we've got 6 laps to go. It seems like we're getting stronger as this race goes on. Maybe Charles was running into some fuel issues of his own, and possibly a tyre wear for that Ferrari isn't as good as what it is on the Marduk Motorsport car. We now go to the outside on Charles Leclerc. This could be for the lead of the race. We go around the outside at turn 1, and we get the move done. Still holding third gear to minimize that wheel spin and look after the rear tyres. Here comes Leclerc once again, gets a nice punchy run out of turn 1. He's obviously turned his engine back up again. But he's not running an overtake, otherwise he would have flew past us there. So we hold the lead. 5 to go. Things are looking good. That's our first or second, I think that's probably our second corner cutting warning of the race. Let's make sure we don't do that again. But Leclerc back in the lead on the very next lap. This is going to be tit for tat, I'd imagine, over the next few laps. And I guess we're getting ourselves in a position where we can attack full on for the final 4 laps. We've got 0.3 of a lap in terms of fuel. ERS, we've been charging that up a lot over the course of the last few laps. I haven't really been running overtake all too much. And this is all just preparing for the final 3 or 4 laps of this race where we're going to go ham and we're not going to let up. We're going to be pretty much ruthless at the end of this Grand Prix, running the engine for everything that it's got. But this battling has actually enabled Russell to close in the gap a little bit. It was about 5 seconds. It's now 3.4. So if Charles wants to secure P2, he needs to stop battling as he goes defensive again into turn 1. We're going to go around the outside once again, leaving plenty of space. Hold the inside for the next left-hander, and that is us up into the lead of the Italian Grand Prix once again. Charles Leclerc, let's see if he's got anything in response over the next couple of laps. I think he's running low on fuel, so I'm not sure how much he's really got left in the locker, as well as tyre wear. I don't think that's on his side either. But we're at a point now where we can push for the rest of the Grand Prix, so we're going to do that. We're going to see if we can break outside of 1 second. It's nearly a second as we come up to the 3rd sector. The safety car has been deployed. And I tell you what, guys, that changes the complete complexion of this race. We were at a point where we could go maximum attack for the rest of the Grand Prix. We nearly broke out of 1 second from Charles Leclerc, and now he's on the back of us once again. But there's positives and negatives to this. The positive is that we're probably not going to get any more DRS for the rest of this race. Maybe on the last lap if we're lucky, or if we're unlucky. But I guess the bad thing is that Charles was able to cool out his tyres, recover a bit of tyre wear, tyre temperature, etc. The player always struggles a little bit more on tyre warm-up off a safety car restart, so I'm making sure that we are not in any sort of issues as we get this restart underway. Thankfully, I can control the pace, and we are back to green flag running in this Italian Grand Prix. 2 to go in this one. Let me know down in the comments who you think is going to win, but we are going to do our utmost to win this Italian Grand Prix and embarrass Ferrari in front of their home fans. Anyway, heading to the middle sector now, and you can see Leclerc gets a really nice run out of the first sector chicane. He has a little look around the outside heading into the middle sector. Nothing doing there. Bad momentum for him, and he has to slot in behind, nearly getting overtaken by my teammate, who is now also brought into the game by virtue of the bunching up of the field. Here we go. Oh, you know what's going to happen here. We're heading up to Parabolica for the penultimate time of this race, and we are gearing up for an all-out attack on this last lap of the Italian Grand Prix. I'm running a little low on ERS there. I've used up my allotment for this second last lap. We cross the line. Now we can go ham on the overtake, so we press it now side by side with Charles Leclerc on the final lap of the Italian Grand Prix. Russell looking around the outside just like he was on the first lap. We take the lead just about. Leclerc, do you have anything left in this race? We're going back up into overtake, back up into Rich. We are not letting this go without a fight. We're going to defend to the inside. We're going to make Leclerc go around the outside into the middle sector. Can't quite get it done. Loses really solid momentum there, and it allows us to run away on that previous straight on the run into Ascari. But now, we've just got one more corner left to go in this race, and we're going to save a bit of ERS and try and punch it out of Parabolica and accept another win in this championship of career mode. Nice run through here. Leclerc isn't close enough. We're going to go up in a Rich and overtake, and we are going to claim victory at the Italian Grand Prix.
Nice work, that's P1. Race win. Well done.
There it is then, victory in the Italian Grand Prix. An historic race and an achievement they can be immensely proud of. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
Well, I'm thoroughly exhausted after the excitement of that race, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to our drivers here. They've worked hard to make it up there, and it's great to see them make their way out onto the podium.
Yes, There it is, guys. Victory here in Italy. This has been a long time coming. I can't remember the last time we won a race. I think it might have been like the Spanish Grand Prix. Not Spanish Grand Prix, sorry. I'm thinking of that because of that. That's on this weekend. What I mean is the Canadian Grand Prix. Been a while, but good to be back on the top step of the podium. A double podium in the end for Marduk Motorsport, and in fact, the entire podium is populated by Ferrari-powered cars. I don't think the Tifosi will be overly happy with me stealing the win off of Leclerc, but they can't complain too much as there's 3 Ferrari-powered cars at the top of the table. Speaking of, we move into well, we're still third in the driver's standings, only 13 points away from Valtteri Bottas, who had an okay day today. Mercedes a bit quiet, couldn't get themselves up on the podium, but yeah, that race went absolutely perfectly for me. It was a bit of a struggle early on, had to get past Bottas, I think it was, and we cruised up onto the back of Leclerc. We jumped him with the undercut, and then from there we basically held on to his curtails for the rest of the race. I didn't have the same pace as Leclerc. I think if that was a straight up fight, me outside of slipstream, I don't think I would have had the same pace as him. But we were able to hold on. We were able to save fuel behind him. We were able to look after our tyres as well. And then towards the end of the Grand Prix, we then did have the pace over him, and we're able to do something about it. So in the end, very grateful to be able to win this one. It's so satisfying to win the ones where you don't exactly have the pace, or you really have to fight hard in order to get the victory, which is exactly what we did today. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and see plenty more racing game content. We're off to the Singapore Grand Prix next, and we've got a couple of upgrades on the way, hopefully. Let's see what kind of benefit that can have, and whether we'll see the introduction of another regulation change heading into Season 3. But, I don't know, heading into this episode, I didn't think we'd be capable of winning a drivers or constructors, but now I think we are in the hunt. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.
Just